Welcome back, my dear crime lovers. This is the new episode of the History of the American Mafia, a podcast written by Fabio Fabiano and translated and read by Grace Cadlisi. I do hope you enjoy today's new episode. Today we're going to meet Dutch Schultz. Arthur Simon Flegenheimer was born on August 6, 1902, in the Bronx, the populous New York neighborhood. Known as Dutch Schultz both for his violent methods and his Germanic physical appearance, son of two poor German immigrants of Jewish origin. His father abandoned him and his family when he was just a child, leaving Arthur with psychological scars that would never be forgotten. The trauma of being abandoned changed little Arthur. He dropped out of school and joined juvenile petty crime gangs in the Bronx. In 1919, he was sentenced to 17 months in a reform school for burglary. He proved to be a difficult prisoner to manage and attempted to escape, only to be caught once again and have his sentence extended for another 2 months. Released on parole on December 8, 1920, he began his activity as an alcohol smuggler during Prohibition in the United States. He used his shipping company to smuggle liquor and beer from Canada to New York. Due to this new business, Schultz began associating with known criminals and better became known in the underworld as Dutch Schultz. In 1920, like many of the most important criminals of the time, like Lucky Luciano, Frank Costello, Meyer Lansky, Bugsy Siegel, and Jack Legs Diamond, he went to work for the Jewish gangster Arnold Rothstein, smuggling alcohol and drugs. In 1928, Schultz began working as a bouncer at the Hub Social Club, a speakeasy in the Bronx owned by a gangster named Joey Noe. Noe was impressed by Schultz's brutality enough to decide to undertake a criminal activity along his side. Soon, other illegal establishments opened in the Bronx where alcohol was served. They used their own trucks to reduce otherwise high delivery costs to transport the beer produced by Frankie Dunn, a brewer from Union City, New Jersey. Schultz used to drive the vehicle, keeping one hand on a hunting rifle ready to use it to protect the trucks from possible hijackers. The Dutchman violently forced customers to buy their alcohol. The two also became great friends. Schultz and Noe clashed with the brothers John and Joe Rock, who was also smuggling alcohol in the Bronx. The feud began when the brothers refused to buy beer from Noe and Schultz. Eventually, John, the older brother, agreed to cooperate, but his younger brother Joe refused. One night, Noe and Schultz kidnapped Joe, beat him up, and hung him on a meat hook. His family paid $35,000 for his release. After his return, he became blind due to the tortures he had endured. From then on, the Noe Schultz gang had no rivals as it expanded throughout the Bronx. Bootlegging during Prohibition made Schultz very rich. His criminal organization, made up of ruthless and brutal criminals of Jewish origin, was the only one in the neighborhood considered at the same level of the 5 mafia families of New York, so much so it was not subjugated to the Italians. Along with Joey Noe, Schultz came into direct competition with his former Irish partner Legs Diamond as they moved their alcohol sales market to Manhattan. This risky move led to a bootlegging war with the New York Irish Mafia led by Jack Legs Diamond. The gangster of Neapolitan origins, Carlo Campanella, also joined them. This confrontation led to the October 15th, 1928, killing of Joey Noe on Diamond's orders. In the early hours of October the 15th, Noe was shot repeatedly outside the Chateau Madrid, a speakeasy, on 231 West 54th. Although seriously wounded, he managed to return fire. A blue Cadillac was seen crashing into some parked cars and losing one of its doors before speeding away. When the police found the car an hour later, they discovered the body of Louis Weinbergs in the back seat. Meanwhile, Noah's health conditions worsened and he died on November the 21st. Schultz was shocked and angered at the loss of his friend and mentor. In retaliation, he ordered the killing of Diamond's associate. Finally, in 1931, Diamond was murdered by killers hired by Schultz himself. Meanwhile, Vincent Kohl stole some of Schultz's alcohol shipments, causing a conflict that resulted in a number of deaths on both sides. The rivalry lasted until 1932, when Kohl was killed in a telephone booth by Schultz's men, who shot him with a Thompson machine gun. Once the era of prohibition was over, Schultz, associating himself with the Sicilian mafioso Ciro Terranova, moved his illicit business to Harlem and through violence and intimidation obtained control of numerous rackets such as clandestine lotteries, horse betting and prostitution. Schultz also imposed protection money on local shop owners. Those who refused were scared or scarred with vitriol. He also controlled the New York Restaurant Workers Union and managed to extract illicit profits from the members and extort money from the owners of the premises by threatening to prohibit their employees to work. On April the 29th, 1935, in Syracuse, and on August the 2nd, in Malone, Special Prosecutor Thomas E. Dewey tried to indict Schultz for tax evasion, the same treatment that Al Capone had received before. 2 trials took place. The gangster in both proceedings was acquitted, bribing the jurors. Not satisfied with the acquittal, Schultz decided to kill Prosecutor Dewey. He set his men after him. Within a few weeks, identified the place where they were to carry out this exceptional murder. Every morning, Dewey would leave his home and head to a chemist where he'd call his office to be briefed on the events of the previous night's shift. Schultz planned to call in just one assassin, who, with a one silenced gun, would have undisturbed killed the prosecutor and the owner of the chemist. To carry out this murder, he entrusted himself to the best killer in town, Albert Anastasia. Anastasia immediately informed the commission about Schultz's intentions. Schultz was convinced that Dewey constituted a threat to all bosses of Cosa Nostra. His proposal was rejected by the other bosses, according to whom this solution could damage their businesses. Among the preliminary agreements that sanctioned the birth of the commission was that not to attack policemen and honest state officials to avoid unleashing the institutions against the mafia families. Schultz took this decision badly and began to think that the commission was trying to take over his criminal activities by using the courts. So he decided to take matters into his own hands and carry out the murder without the support of the commission. Considering the gangsters' act of rebellion, the commission ordered Schultz's murder and turned to murder included the group of Italian and Jewish killers to do the job. At 10:30 p.m., October the 23rd, 1935, in Newark, in the Palace Chop House nightclub in New York metropolitan area, Dutch Schultz, his accountant Otto Berman, and his 2 bodyguards were taken by surprise by 9 hitmen. Schultz was in the bathroom at the time of the ambush, and as soon as he opened the revolving half doors, he was hit by 3 bullets, 2 in his chest and 1 in his back. His bodyguards were also shot down and killed. Schultz was taken to hospital. There he was baptized and received the last rites from a Catholic priest as he requested. shortly before being operated. Schultz remained in agony for almost a day, and during alternating states of lucidity and loss of consciousness, he spoke to his wife, his mother, a priest, the police, and hospital staff. He died of peritonitis on the 24th of October in 1935. The long existentialist monologue he gave to the police on his deathbed in the city hospital remains famous up to today. His grave was adorned with crosses and is located in a cemetery in Westchester County, New York, although his wealth at the time of the killing was estimated to be $7 million. No trace of that money has ever been found. Shortly before his death, fearing imprisonment, Schultz had commissioned the construction of a special airtight and waterproof safe, where he had kept all his belongings. Schultz and his faithful collaborator, Rosenkrantz, transported the safe to an unknown location somewhere in upstate New York and buried it. When he was killed, since there was no evidence to suggest that Schultz had ever revealed the location of the safe to anyone, the safe remains still buried underground. The exact location where the safe was buried died with him. It is said that Schultz's enemies and treasure hunters have spent most of their lives searching for it, but it has never been recovered.